All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are going on an epic journey, almost 4,000 years into the past. We're not just going to read a story, we're going to enter it. We're opening up Genesis chapter 17. And trust me, this isn't just ancient text, it's like the spiritual source code for a destiny that literally changed the world. Okay, let's dive in.
So we're not just going to skim this chapter, we are going deep. We're going to explore it through 4 different lenses using this amazing ancient method called Pardes. First up is the pshat. That's the simple, literal story. We'll paint a picture like you're watching a movie. Then we'll become detectives and dig for the remez. These are the hidden clues and hints in the text. After that, we hit the drash, the emotional heart of the story. What does it feel like? And finally, we'll touch on the sod, which is, the deep, mystical secrets of the universe that are humming just beneath the surface of these words.
So let's start with that cinematic peshat. I want you to just imagine this scene. Abram is 99 years old. 99. The sun has been baking his skin for nearly a century. He's out under that vast, silent desert sky, a sky so dark and so clear you feel like you could just reach out and touch the stars. And then, all of a sudden, a presence. It's not a sound, it's not even something you see, but it's a feeling that just fills everything. God appears to Abram. And the very first words spoken are this incredible challenge and a promise that is just cosmic in scale. Walk before me and be perfect. Just think about that. And then, to a man who is 99, with a wife who is 90, comes this promise that sounds absolutely impossible. You will be the father of a multitude of nations. Can you feel the weight of those words in the desert silence? It must have been just staggering.
Okay, now let's go on a little treasure hunt for the remez, that hidden clue. Because God doesn't just give Abram a new title, he gives him a literal software update. You see, his name, Abram, means exalted father. A great father, sure. But God adds one single letter, the letter He, and his name transforms into Abraham, which means father of a multitude. One single sound changed his entire destiny. It's incredible.
And this, of course, brings us right to the drash, the emotional core of this whole thing. We have to ask the tough question, right? Why? Why wait so long? Why push a man to the absolute brink of his life, to the very edge of all hope, before giving him this unbelievable promise? Honestly, if you look at it from a kid's point of view, it seems kind of unfair. It's like being told you can finally have the one toy you've wanted your whole life, but only after you're way too old to really play with it. It feels like this impossible test. But was it a test? Or was the timing itself the message? Maybe, just maybe, by waiting until Abraham and Sarah were physically, biologically, completely incapable of having a child, God was making a huge statement. A statement that said, this miracle, this has nothing to do with your strength. This is about mine. The glory here belongs to God and God alone.
So we've kind of unpacked the emotional reason for the timing. But on the deepest level, the sod, there's something even more profound going on. In his mystical worldview, a name isn't just a label you call someone. It's like their spiritual DNA. It's the line of code that actually determines a person's potential in the world.
So, according to the Zohar, this ancient mystical book of splendor, the letter He is a direct conduit for Bina. That's the divine dimension of understanding and expansion. So when God added that He to Abram's name, it wasn't just symbolic. No, it was a literal cosmic upgrade. It unlocked a brand new function in his spiritual source code that allowed him to channel an energy he couldn't before. It gave him the actual capacity to father not just a single family, but a whole multitude of nations. Now, a new destiny like this, an upgraded spiritual code, well, it needs to be sealed, right? And the sign of this covenant isn't going to be a stone tablet or some scroll. It's something far more personal and far more permanent. God commands a sign to be etched into the very body. And the command is absolute. This physical act, the Brit Milah, is to be the everlasting sign of the covenant. It's a permanent mark, one that's passed down through all the generations, a physical reminder of a spiritual promise. So you see what's happening. This spiritual upgrade is now manifesting in a very real, very physical way. And this just brilliantly shows us another hidden connection, a remez that the mystical texts point out. There are really 2 foundational covenants. The first one is Brit Milah, the covenant of the flesh, which was given to Abraham. And the second is Brit Lashon, the covenant of the tongue. That's the Torah given through Moses. It's amazing. One brings us into this physical world, and the other connects our speech to the world to come. Now, in the realm of sod, this act is just profound. It's seen as a way of refining the physical body, of removing a sort of barrier to allow it to become a purer vessel for holiness. It's all about imprinting the divine source code of the covenant directly onto the hardware of the human body, forever linking the spiritual and the material.
But this divine transmission isn't over, not by a long shot. Just as Abram got his upgrade, God now turns his attention to Sarai, because this covenant isn't a one-man show. It is through his partner, the matriarch, that this incredible destiny is actually going to be fulfilled. And there it is. She gets the He upgrade too. Sarai, which means my princess, becomes Sarah, which means princess to everyone. Her status is elevated from personal royalty to global nobility. And then comes the punchline to this 99-year-long story. I will give you a son by her. And Abraham's reaction, oh, it is so incredibly wonderfully human. He falls on his face and he laughs. And this is the central question of the drosh for this section. What kind of laugh was this? I mean, was he laughing at how absurd it all sounded? A laugh of doubt? Or was it something else entirely? Look, it is so easy to judge, right? To say, how could he laugh? He should have had perfect faith. His human brain, his logic, it must have just short-circuited. A 100-year-old man, a 90-year-old woman, it's easy to see it as a moment of weakness. But I see it differently. I really do. I think this was a laugh of pure, uncontrollable joy. I think it was the sound of a dream he had buried for decades, suddenly exploding back to life inside him. It wasn't disbelief. It was a sheer, overwhelming happiness that his body just couldn't contain. So how do we know? Which laugh was it? Joy or doubt? Well, the final verses of this chapter give us the undeniable answer. The proof isn't in his feelings. It's in his actions. The conversation with God ends, the divine presence recedes, and Abraham is left standing there in the desert. So what does he do next? And the text gives us the answer with such incredible specificity. It says, on that very day, Betsem Hayom Hazeh. There was no hesitation. There was no, let me think about this, no focus groups, no sleeping on it. He hears the command and he acts. He gathers his son Ishmael and every single male in his entire household, and he fulfills the covenant immediately. And that's the ultimate answer, isn't it? That's the mic drop. His actions speak so much louder than any laugh ever could. That immediate, total obedience proves that his heart was 100% committed. The laugh wasn't doubt. It was just the joyful shock that comes right before the faithful act. True faith isn't the absence of overwhelming emotion. It's what you do right after you feel it. So Abraham's real greatness wasn't just in believing the impossible promise, but in acting on the difficult command immediately. And this brings us right to our weekly challenge. This is where we work on our midot, our character traits, our inner dimensions, by applying this exact lesson. This week, it's just one simple but really powerful idea, inspired by Abraham's immediate response. We're calling this challenge the power of now. So for kids watching, when you tell your parents you'll clean your room or help with a chore, do it on that very day. Just do it. Don't wait to be asked a second or third time. Close that gap between saying and doing. And for the adults, the next time you make a promise to someone, a colleague, a friend, your spouse, find a way to fulfill it that very same day. Turn your word into action immediately. And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on this week. Abraham made a covenant with God. What is the covenant that you need to make with yourself, with your own potential, today? And more importantly, how can you, just like Abraham, act on it on this very day? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.